we decided to form, at the time, breakdancing was becoming a thing. And so, you know, we saw a lot of the bigger kids start to do it, and, you know, they were doing all the normal easy moves, you know, like popping and locking and that kind of stuff. But I was not really interested in the, you know, that kind of stuff, because for whatever reason, I was not coordinated like that. I was a pretty good dancer, but it just didn't interest me. What interested me was the physical part of it. The 1990s and the windmills and the flares and the backspins, etc. And I remember that it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And so we decided, this has all happened in the summer. I always find it fascinating how much happens in a summer for kids. It almost feel like a year in that summer alone, the amount of growth that happened for me as far as knowledge absorbed, friendship absorbed, you know, cultural embrace in the culture, assimilation that occurs just in a few months of being here. And so at some point we decided to form a breakdancing group. And honestly, none of us really knew what exactly breakdancing was, and we didn't know exactly how to do it. But we noticed that everybody, you know, all the other kids were getting their breakdance matching outfits, and so we decided, you know, let's get our own breakdance outfit. And so we went out and we got these matching breakdance outfits. So we had we were a great breakdance group now, and we look like the United Nation because, you know, like I said, there's a Cuban guy, a white guy, a Vietnamese guy, a Jamaican guy, and I think Neil was a black guy. That was my first black American friend at the time. And so what we did is we practiced all summer long. And I remember, the highlight of the summer for us was, really sticks in my mind, is we were invited to a church. There was a party at a church in the basement, and so we all went to this party, and we all had on our little breakdance outfits. Actually, I don't think we had on a breakdance outfit yet. I think we went to this party in the basement of this church in Cleveland Circle somewhere, Cleveland Circle up there somewhere. And when we got there, I remember distinctly the song that was playing. It was Lionel Richie, All Night Long. And I remember us dancing, and one of my friends was doing the worm, and Keith was really good at popping and locking, so he was doing all that stuff, and I don't remember what I was doing. I was not doing anything more than sort of following along a bit. But it was just, I remember us just dancing the night away, and it was such a memorable experience for that summer. It's a moment that really it's a defining moment of that time in my life, just having so much fun that day. It was winter at that time. And, and by the way, we also made a pact with each other because we were about to all start Brighton High School, all of us. And so we decided that, look, we've heard all the rumors that the seniors are throwing freshmen off the balcony, and some kid broke his leg and somebody got stabbed, etc. All the rumors that you hear about high school, and I'm sure Brighton High School had a reputation for being rough. And so we all made a pact with each other that, look, if anything happened to either one of us, we'd back each other up, and try to protect each other, in high school. So now I had some friends, so I was no longer alone. I got a little bit of backing there. And so, one of the things I remember, it was really funny, is during that time, I became curious, and I said, well, what are some of the neighborhoods that you can visit in Boston? Because, I was clueless. And that's when I was told, repeatedly by lots of different kids, they're like, you can't go to the North End, because that's where the Italians are, and they're going to kill you. you can't go to Charlestown because that's where the Irish people are, and you don't want to go there because they're going to kill you. For the same reason, you can't go to South Boston because they're crazy and racist over there, so don't go over there either. Okay, they're like, you can't go to Mission Hill over there because that's where, the Hispanics are and you might get robbed or something like that. And they're going down the list of places you can't go because of things that's going to happen to you. And then I remember them saying, well, you can't go to Dorchester and you can't go to Mattapan because that's where the black people are. And I'm going, wait a minute, I'm black. What do you mean I can't go to my own neighborhood? I'm like, what's this stuff about not going anywhere? I didn't grow up that way where there's a limitations on where you can go based on somebody's ethnicity, etc. So I remember one day, like for a period of time, literally just visited every single one of those neighborhoods. And what I remember is, and that was probably, and this was over time actually, and I remember going through, and by the time I did all of them, I remember walking through South Boston, and by then I was a pretty big kid at that point. I was working out, lifting a lot of weights, and I was probably 60 pounds heavier than I am right now. And I remember the minute I was walking down the street, and then all of a sudden I was like nothing. And then when I was further down the street, I heard some guy stuck his head out the window and go, "Nigger!" And then I turned around and nothing. So it was just cowardice. I don't think most people were really, and Boston has a history of from busing and racism and integration that occurred during that time, and so there's a legacy of that, and and there was still some of that there at the time when I got there. But I was in my own little bubble. A lot of those things that I found that it was mostly mythology. It's not like it wasn't there, because it was very much there, a little bit of stereotype of each one. But I suspect that that's what happened, is that people have negative experience and then everybody gets painted. But that's a whole other conversation for a different time. So so basically it took a while for me to get to know, to sort of engage with the African American community. I think what happened is that I remember getting to like my sophomore year, and I still really, other than Neil, I really couldn't break into the rhythm a little bit more. But my brother Michael, who was a year ahead of me in high school, actually I remember him, he met all these Black American kids, and he sort of brought them into my circle, and I had everybody else, the United Nations. And so when our friendship melded with his friendship, that's when I really start to understand the African American culture a lot more. And then, like they say, the rest is history from there. So some of the things that I remember, my breakdancing continued after that. And so we got really, really, really good after a while. And so as the years went by, I'm doing the same thing I've always done, which is, I'm practicing 5 hours a day to break dance. And so as you practice more, you hear about competition. And then, but I was always terrified about entering competition. And I remember in my sophomore year that there's a kid by the name of Trip. And Trip, you know who you are. He's in the U.S. military. Thank you for your service. And I remember when Trip and my other friend Tito, actually, they showed up on the scene. And Trip was an African-American kid, and he looked like he worked out his whole life. And he just was naturally, genetically gifted. He always looked like he was in the gym all the time. Yet I've never seen him in the gym. But I think he volunteered in the U.S. military at the time. And so Trip was like, let's compete. And so he's the first one that actually recommended that we should compete. And so we started to go to different places and looking at competition and try to get into competition. And that was fun.